Hello and welcome to this video for Venus's transit through Dhanishtha Nakshatra. I thought I'd do this video because it's very important in terms of the energies that are leading us up to this powerful lunar eclipse that's going to take place on the 31st of January. Venus will be transiting through Dhanishtha Nakshatra from the 26th of January on through the 6th of February, right? So what is this particular transit all about? Well, let's talk a little bit about Dhanishtha Nakshatra and let's get a foundation of this particular energy. Dhanishtha Nakshatra is connected to the Vasus. A translation of the Vasus, kind of loosely translated, is the good or the excellent ones, right? And another term for it is the supporting. And the Vasus, if we were to name them, are the earth, water, the pole star, moon, wind, fire, dawn, and light. Now let's understand that. Without the earth, we would have no home. We'd have no point of reference, would we? We'd be lost, right? Without water, we would, well, quite literally, we'd die, wouldn't we? We're mainly water. A large part of our body is water. So we need water here to support us, to cleanse us, to invigorate us. So many things that water does, right? The pole star. Without the pole star, we'd have no direction. We wouldn't know where we're going, right? The moon. Without the moon, manas, sensory mind, to reflect the light of the sun, the Atman, the soul, right? Then we would be in a position where we would be perceiving the situation that we're dealing with in life in a very unclear manner and in a very distorted manner. And if we had no moon, we'd be stuck in darkness. There'd be no light during the darkness. The moon's very necessary. Then we have wind. Without wind, we have no air to breathe, right? The wind and the air is two very vital forces. We also have wind inside of us. Not that kind of wind. I think you know what I mean, even though I am full of hot air, but you know what I'm talking about. We have wind inside of us. So we have all these elements inside of us too. Fire. Without fire, we'd have no warmth. It would diminish our capacity for nourishment in some manners, right? Even though you can live on a raw food diet, I'm not talking about that. But, you know, we use fire to cook our food. We use fire to sacrifice. We use fire to purify. We use it to keep warm. Without the dawn, we'd never know that another day is going to come. Life would just be eternal darkness. And without the light, we wouldn't be able to see. So all these forces are very necessary. And they're very vital for your support. But somewhere within yourself, you think at this particular moment that you are not worthy of that support, that you don't deserve it, right? And you're kind of stuck in that darkness. You're kind of wandering around without any sense of direction. You feel unsupported. You feel undernourished. You feel like you're not getting what you want in your life. And you feel on a certain level like you don't deserve to have any pleasure in your life, that you're somehow not worthy. Now, if you'd like a little bit of help with understanding just how you are worthy, I am offering a special 10% discount on my astrological services, which is available through the astrological services page of my website. If you go to that astrological services page linked above, you can enter a code on the payment page when you go to enter your details, all uppercase Eclipse, and that will give you the discount that you want. But let's come back to talking about this feeling of worthiness. You know, basically, as Venus is transiting Dhanishtha Nakshatra, it's going through a phase where it's in close proximity to both the sun and to Ketu. All three of these planets are in Dhanishtha Nakshatra. Now, when the sun and Venus connect with each other, it creates a state for Venus that's known as combustion, which happens quite often. But still, sometimes these feelings can happen quite often, which are feelings of vulnerable pride. So let's go into that concept of vulnerable pride. When we feel vulnerable, when we feel like we're not getting the pleasure that we want from life, when we feel like we're not getting the love that we need, when we feel like we're not getting the nourishment that we want, we feel vulnerable. And we begin to assert ourselves and go, well, I'm going to get this for myself. Only we do it perhaps in not the most positive of ways, right? We do it in a way that's not very considerate of other people's feelings sometimes, and we become overly assertive and haughty and arrogant and things like that. You're probably not going to do that to a great extent with this particular transit, with the exception of maybe a phase once you get near the lunar eclipse with Rahu's transit through Ashadha, because you're going through a phase where some very difficult decisions need to be made. And in order to make those decisions, it requires that you summon a lot of strength, because one part of you is not really sure in regards to which direction you're meant to go in. So you may at that particular point become a little bit overly assertive. But other than that, you're likely going to dwell more on the lower end of the spectrum with that, which is somehow feels like there's no pleasure in your life, but somehow you're not deserving of that pleasure. Now, those feelings are being fed by Ketu's connection to the sun. Ketu and the sun, when they connect together, and especially when they're conjunct within an individual's natal chart, it creates these feelings of not being good enough, not being perfect enough. On some levels, that propels the individual to always raise the bar for themselves and try to do better. But basically, there are some areas of your life where it's not always helpful to try to do better, such as when you are humble and when you're just naturally humble. You don't have to kind of go into this thing of going, I'm the most humble person in the world, right? What good is that going to prove? What good is going along going, I am the most unworthy person on the face of this earth, and nobody is more unworthy than me, right? That's not going to do anything. What good is going around going, I don't deserve any pleasure in life and I deserve less pleasure than everybody else? What good is that going to do? You're born here. And that's one of the energies of Dhanishtha Nakshatra. Due to the very fact that you're born and you're placed here, you prosper. But if you're ignoring that nourishment, right? If you're ignoring that nourishment, or perhaps feel like you have to adapt in order to create that nourishment for yourself and do things perhaps that don't move you in the direction of what feels right for you or what feels like it's a good and conscious choice. If you move in those particular directions, that ultimately is not going to be helpful for you, right? There's an unsteady energy with this particular transit, and there is a tendency to go towards something you think is going to fulfill you when ultimately it isn't. That is likely because of deep feelings of emptiness in regards to this. So is this me saying that you're going to feel deep feelings of emptiness? Well, not necessarily. If you approach it consciously, you're likely going to see the situation more along the level of just somehow feeling vulnerable and feeling as if your life isn't really bringing you the enjoyment that you want. But then you can inflate that desire. And that has a potential to deepen once you get to between the 28th and the 31st of this month, as Venus will be tightening in an aspect to Rahu. And when Rahu and Venus connect, there is basically Venus, I should say, will be aspecting Rahu. There is a coming together of compulsive desires and conscious desires. So in other words, you want something and you can't stop this compulsion you feel within you towards pushing towards that. That can be good when the things that you want are attainable. That can be difficult when the things that you want are unattainable. And so then if you end up not attaining your desire and you've already got this feeling inside of you that you're somehow not worthy of these things, well, I think you get the point. It begins to deepen. And it's not that you're not worthy of that. You have every right to move yourself in the direction of making the wise decisions to improve your life. And that ultimately is something that you should do. But the thing that's going to really help you in understanding what you are actually able to do and what you are actually not able to do is to look at what brought you here. Look at how you got to this particular moment in time, right? Look at how you might have been abnegating yourself and abnegating your own needs, thinking yourself somehow unworthy. And you need to make conscious decisions and choices that move you in the direction of bringing more enjoyment into your life, setting your life up in a way that's going to bring you the pleasure that you do truly deserve. But if you're expecting it to happen all at once and immediately, you're kind of raising the bar too high for yourself and placing yourself in a position where ultimately it's not going to work to your advantage. So you need to reflect on, even if they're mistakes that you made, look at all those mistakes that led you up to this point. Correct those mistakes. Make some different decisions in your life, right? Acknowledge things that brought you here, but be careful in that acknowledgement. Don't play the blame game with yourself, going, oh, I made all these mistakes. I'm a horrible person. That's what brought me here. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just recognize, I did that. I don't have to do that anymore. I can make a different decision. I can make a different choice. And then begin to do that. Begin to live more in harmony with who you are in your truth. Right? And Dhanishtha Nakshatra a lot of it is about that. It's about being original. It's about being true to yourself. It's about letting your soul flow through you rather than stifling what you feel inside of yourself. Instead, live what you feel inside of yourself. Again, you may not be able to do that all immediately. We can't always just, switch the light on and become immediately this 100% perfect being. But you can begin to make steps in the right direction in association with that. And that's exactly what you need to do with this particular transit through Dhanishtha Nakshatra. So again, if you need a little bit of help with this process, I am offering a 10% discount on my astrological services that can be accessed through the link above. Go to the services page. When you schedule in your consultation, please, when you go to make your payment, enter the code Eclipse, all uppercase, and it will give you a 10% discount on whatever astrological service you choose. That's going to do it for this video for Venus's transit through Dhanishtha Nakshatra, starting on the 26th of January and taking you through to the 6th of February, past the lunar eclipse. Until next time, people, happy eclipsing and make the most of your choices. Bye now.